follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So, allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So, grab a steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are brought to you by Animal We Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Welcome, salutations, and good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. We are the Weebs of the Ring, and we just watched Monday Night Raw on, what's today's date, the 10th of March? Yep. 10th of March. We were live here in Madison Square Garden, mind you, so big things are supposed to be happening in Madison Square Garden. We had a huge main event that was probably the biggest talking point from the night. But other segments that were pretty good, you know. So don't take my words like that as a big old negative aspect of it all. But we do have some thoughts. We do have some predictions. We do have some words to say about what happened tonight. I, of course, am your world champion Watkins here to kind of help guide us through all of the wrestling that happened tonight. And I am never alone in this endeavor, for you see, I have a lovely gentleman right next to me, actually. I almost said right above me. I'm too used to two guys above me right now. But no, just one right next to me. He is known as the genius of the mat. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Like you said, this was a Madison Square Garden show, and if you guys have been a fan of WWE over the years, you know that this is a pretty big spot for them to put on their shows. They had a couple WrestleManias here. They had a couple SummerSlams here, Royal Rumbles. Like you saw on that little card on the side, pretty much talking about the history. And I even saw something earlier this afternoon from WrestleVote saying that I believe for like a couple years, like years beyond years, this spot at the Garden, it hasn't really been a spot that they really had building up to their WrestleMania. So this is like their first time in a long time, which is pretty good fun fact to throw out there. But yeah, we had Raw today, March 10th. Already getting almost at WrestleMania season. We got 40 days, like it was said on Raw. It's pretty crazy to even think about that. But yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna be going through Raw tonight, all the segments, all the things that were happening, all the shit talk that was going on and all that. So let us know in the chat how you thought of Raw as we go through each segment. And if you're new here, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, catch all of our shows when we go live after each event. And don't forget to tune in on Thursdays for Grappling with the Week for little new segments and when we talk about NXT and AEW, because this week we're gonna have some fun discussions from both shows and events that they had as well this week. But let's go into Raw. Let's talk about all the happenings that happened. We're gonna start, of course, with our big main event, this massive main event. Seth Rollins taking on CM Punk in a steel cage match. First of all, this match was really good, really fun, showing you that you don't really need blood to really enhance a feud or enhance a match to make it seem physical, to seem like a huge, drawn-out battle between two guys. I think one thing to kind of note here too, like it took them roughly about 10 minutes for the first pinfall to even happen. I mean, even just the first 5 minutes, they were just throwing haymakers at each other, just punching each other left and right, and like no suplexes, no holds, like nothing like that. It was just a straight-on fight. So yeah, this match it had its time that it needed to, and it ends with Roman Reigns coming back, kind of helping his Shield buddy win the match, but that's kind of mainly for him to get Seth and beat him down, kind of give him a receipt for the Royal Rumble, and of course giving giving Punk a receipt as well after match with a good old spear. A lot of things to kind of dive into with this, but I think I'm going to start with this question as always. Drop, what did you think of the match?
I thought the match was pretty good. It probably saved the show for me because there was other things like outside of this that I did enjoy that I'll talk about later, but it's only like a few things because there's, parts of the WrestleMania build that I'm very invested in. But definitely, like I said, this definitely saved the night for me. You got a steel cage match, which we don't normally get all the time. It's not like something that you get on television every single week. Like every once in a while, when it calls for it, you get a steel cage match, and they're in the Garden. They're known to have a lot of steel cage matches at the event, so it makes sense for this to take place. And plus, when it comes to the sort of feud that Seth Rollins and CM Punk has, it definitely calls for it. And I also like how you mentioned before that not every steel cage match, or at least when it comes to feuds, I should say, requires blood. And I know where that's stemming from, because I know a lot of people are looking at the match that Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay had last night at Revolution. Keep in mind, that was a great match. I had the opportunity to watch it. I had the opportunity to check out a couple of my favorite guys that cover the event so I can hear their thoughts on it. But the way I try to look at it is, let's stop comparing, because that's like a pet peeve of mine, even outside of wrestling. I don't know if I'm the only one, Watkins, that gets annoyed by this, but you ever see like that little symbol thing online where they put so-and-so over the other? That gives me the biggest headache.
You're about to trigger me right now.
Yeah,
you're about to trigger me hard with that. Oh my god.
Yeah, that gives me the biggest headache, because it's like, I get why people are doing it, because either it's engagement farming or they're just doing it because they feel like it, which whatever, I can't really prevent everybody in the world from doing that. But it's like, let Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher's match be its own thing. Focus on whatever's happening in that company, because we're not going to come on here on this podcast and make comparisons back and forth between both matches. But, just let whatever's going on between those guys stay in AEW, and whatever's going on between Seth and CM Punk, let that remain in WWE. Because one of the things WWE does is, when it does require blood, obviously they do it, But another thing that they really try to do as well, which is something that's common in wrestling, not just WWE, they tried telling a story in the ring outside of the back and forth promo battles, and that was pretty much what you were seeing between Seth Rollins and CM Punk tonight, because there was a lot of close calls when it came to pins. Like you even had CM Punk get a super stomp, and then he got a GTS and everything, and he still was kicking out. Like there was a lot of kickouts. It's like one of those things you normally see in main events where there's like a lot of kickouts, or the guy's not tapping out. He keeps holding in because he wants to remain in the match and not give up like that, which I really like that. And you also had a spot that was like a good callback to the Elimination Chamber where John Cena put CM Punk in the STF, and you had Rollins apply that onto him because that was the way that CM Punk lost the match, because he passed out, and also because of the stomp that Seth gave him earlier, which pretty much just added to that gave Cena a little leverage. But it's like I enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good. There was a lot of good spots. I liked the superplex that Seth Rollins gave CM Punk. That was really nice to see. And just another thing to say that, ever since CM Punk came back from that injury, he's been doing pretty good. He's been having a lot of good matches, and I'm happy that he's in good condition, and I'm happy he's able to, have moments like this with Seth, or being able to compete at a Royal Rumble and not coming in the next night saying that he's going to be gone for a couple months, or participating in the Elimination Chamber, and even getting an opportunity at WrestleMania, which it's been a few years now since we've seen him there. But, overall, when it comes to your question so far, that's basically my whole thought process on that.
Yeah, and there was a lot of good moments in this match too that kind of played to their story. Like there was a couple moments where they both would ask the ref to open the cage door, and they would goad the other one to be like, "Go on, you want to leave? Go on, leave. You can go. You can walk out of this match." And it just kind of plays to just the hatred that they both have for each other. Because, yeah, they could have easily left the ring at any point of time. Hell, CM Punk, when he climbed the cage wall, he could have just easily gotten his left foot over and left the cage. Same with Seth at the time.
Yep.
But they didn't, because they wanted to inflict enough pain on one another. And I almost want to say that Rollins probably would have done something else. He's probably done more after that super stomp at the end to Punk to fully take him out, but I mean, Roman had to get involved, but that was just part of the match. That's part of the story that they were telling, which, a lot of people were calling that to happen. Some people were actually thinking it was going to be a no contest because of Roman interfering and coming back and all that, which that would have been fine. That would have been cool. But I'm glad we actually got a winner from it. And it's also the fact that Seth won, because now that it was Seth because he was pulled out of the ring by Roman. He didn't leave on his own accord. He didn't pin CM Punk. He was forced out of that ring. So there's still a bit of caveat right there where it's just like, okay, Seth and Punk are still not done yet. Even when we get this eventual triple threat between the three, Seth and Punk are not done yet. We still don't really have a definitive winner in that feud. Now, I mean, granted, what's the word I'm looking for? The records right now show that they are 1-1, so obviously we need the rubber match. But again, Seth didn't really beat Punk. He was forced out of there. He was forced to take the win, and that's just, oh my! It reminds me. And sorry, I might. Have you watched Vinland Saga by chance?
I watched
or read it.
I watched the first 2 seasons.
Okay, all right, good, perfect. So quick spoiler alert for the end of season 1. It's almost in a way how the end of season 1 happened, where Askeladd met his end, and what's the name characters? What's the main guy's name again?
Thorfinn.
I'm drawing a blank. Thorfinn, yeah, he was not able to get his revenge on Askeladd because he ended up biting the bullet. And so he's just left there like, yeah, your enemy's dead, but you couldn't get the job done. It was somebody else that did it. And so you're just left empty. Like, yeah, your revenge was met, but at what cost? Like, you're left with nothing now. And in a way, that's kind of how I see it here, where it's like, okay, yeah, Seth got the win, but at what cost? Because then, he ended up getting his ass beat by Roman afterwards. But, like, I even doubt, like, next week if he comes out, I doubt he's even going to be able to be like, yeah, I beat Punk. I mean, he could, just because of the record thing, but it's like deep down in his pride, in his spirit, he can't say that he beat Punk.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's like I'm gonna use AEW as a comparison to this, just to compare to
how dare you.
And it's mainly, and it's not one of those comparisons when it comes to criticism. It's basically comparing another storyline to this one. It's almost like with Christian Cage's case, where he decided to use his contract to cash in, and you would think, oh, okay, if he lost a match, he'd blame Copeland or he'd blame Moxley for it or anything. The only person he could really blame is himself, because he was the one who passed out when Moxley had him in that submission. And that's the reason why I bring that up, because it doesn't really make sense for Seth to come out next week and be like, well, I beat Punk. Like, sure, the records show it, but you didn't climb over the cage or you didn't leave yourself. If you did that on your own accord, then you could walk that. You could walk, you could talk all this shit and everything, but you really can't, because you didn't do it. You only were able to achieve a victory like that because Roman Reigns pulled you out of the cage, which is another thing I want to bring up. So we talked about this on the channel when it comes to this triple threat. We talked about it on podcast episodes. We talked about it with Grappling with the Week. And one of the things I really do like that they're setting up the story so far, because after tonight, I'm willing to give it a shot, because they did something that was a very good start when it comes to this build, outside of what we know to the Royal Rumble, but really starting to kick things into gear. They gave 3 of those guys legitimate reasons to be mad at one another. When it comes to Roman's case, it's because he got stomped out by Seth Rollins. He got his ass handed to him. And also he has something against Punk, because Punk threw him and Seth over the Royal Rumble. One of his goals was to get that shot with Cody at WrestleMania again to get his title back. And then when it comes to Seth's case, I mean, the story writes itself with him and Punk, and also the story writes itself with him and Roman. So there's that. And then the same thing with Punk, with him and Seth. But now, one of the things you were probably asking yourself is, okay, we know about this rumor triple threat, but what is Punk gonna really have on Roman? And then you look at what transpired tonight. Okay, it could be one of those things where he cost him the match, or he really wasn't able to get that win over Seth, or it could easily be what happened towards the end of the match as well, where after he took care of his business with Seth, he went in there, he saw him with Heyman, he was getting the weird look on his face, and he decided to take him out there. So now you have 3 legitimate reasons for these guys to butt heads with one another, and it's not just with one guy. They both have legitimate reasons to be mad at one another, and that's something I can really appreciate when it comes to the build. It's not one of those things you just cram them together just because you want this high profile match. Like, you actually gave them a valid reason to be mad at one another, and that's something I could really appreciate, because at least there's the logic gap right there when it shows Triple H in charge of, like, the creative direction with this, where it's like, okay, guys, we have this triple threat. I want you guys to be aware of why Seth Rollins is mad at everybody, why Punk is mad at everybody, why Roman's mad at everybody. Now you laid it out there. Now I'm very curious to see how that turns out, because now we could possibly tap into a lot of the stuff that we heard over the years when it comes to even things that we heard backstage about how Punk never really wanted Roman in the Shield. If you recall ever hearing about that, you could easily tap into that in a promo segment, because now you got them butting heads with one another. They're all hot-headed, and you could easily, bring stuff up again with Seth and Roman, all of that. I feel like seeing it all come together now, the way that they laid this path, it gets me intrigued to see where this goes. So I'm not as against it as I was before because I feel like we're probably going to get a good build up with this. That's something I could be pretty confident in, especially when it comes to Paul Heyman, where he's normally in charge of Roman's creative. And you know that they always take care of Roman whenever he's involved in this big storyline. Same thing when it comes to a Punk or Seth thing. So it does get me very intrigued to see where that's going to go. But it's like you said, you know, this is one of the things we expected Roman to come towards the end of the match because it wouldn't really make any sense in the slightest just to have Seth win or Punk win because that's predictable. And we're not saying predictable is a bad thing, but it's like you're at the Garden. Something big always happens at the Garden.
Exactly.
They pulled their card right there. Roman Reigns came back. He did what he needed to do, which we expected him to do, which made sense for him to do. And I liked it.
And I kind of like too how like he didn't come out to his music either. He just came out like you heard the crowd. Yeah. Oh, please do. Yeah, just more attacks or moments like that. That would be great. And I think another aspect too of this feud, because you had mentioned Seth and Roman, you had mentioned Seth and Punk. With Punk and Roman too, like you could play upon the whole like it's the Heyman thing, and because I think both sides, like between Roman and Punk, would have legitimate arguments. Because first of all, on Roman's side, Heyman is his wise man. He's the man that took Roman's career and helped elevate it tremendously to a point where Roman not only went over as a heel, but then dropped the title, and while he was gone, came back as a face. like after what, 4+ years, or I guess 3+ years. Yeah, 4+ years on top as somebody that because I remember seeing those posts. I remember Twitter seeing all of those posts about how you guys were starting to get tired of Roman, blah, 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 all that stuff. The moment he leaves and comes back, he is an immediate babyface. Even though his character really hasn't changed that much, but that's neither here nor there with that. But it's like Paul Heyman was the key figure in that. I mean, Roman was the one in the ring doing the moves, doing the crap talking, all that stuff. But it was Heyman's influence that really brought Roman that really skyrocketed Roman. Kind of the same with Punk and Heyman too, because Heyman was around when Punk went on that long title reign too.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're also good friends. There's also that aspect of it. There's also the aspect of the whole favor thing. But also too, just in recent memory from last year, Punk was there, or I mean, he wasn't there, but Punk was around when Roman wasn't.
Yeah.
When Paul was attacked, Roman wasn't there. Roman basically allowed Paul to get attacked. And I can almost bet that's still eating away at Punk in a way. Because you let one of my closest friends get viciously attacked.
Yeah.
So, forget you, dude. Forget everything about you.
Yeah, so they pretty much all have their own kind of ammunition to really shoot at each other, which is a good thing, which is why I love how they lay these certain things out. So it's not like they come up with something on the fly. There's actually something that they can pull from the past to use in their verbal arguments towards one another if they're having a back-to-back promo battle. Because you're gonna get one of those segments, because I did see their schedules when it comes to Seth, Roman, and Punk. There's a couple shows that they're all on. Well, actually, a lot of the dates when it comes to SmackDowns and stuff like that, a lot of their dates are there. So it's it's gonna be nice just to see the three of them in the ring and really say a lot of shit. And this also helps a lot of people that have been wanting to see a match of Punk and Seth, and also seeing something with Seth and Roman and all of that. I mean, it's a high profile match, regardless if there's a title on the line or not. I mean, you got three of the toppest stars in the company when it comes to main eventers, which is a nice thing to say compared to how it was back then when they only had a few of them. Now they have a whole bunch of guys in the main event picture where you could slot them in a high profile match without a world title on the line. And this is
Mhm.
something that like I said, I'm willing, that I'm actually starting to get on board with. I understand how people feel about it because, of course, you go to that whole thing I was joking about when it comes to like multi-man mania, when it comes to all these triple threat matches. And the only thing I will say about it is if it makes sense, I'll be okay with it. If it's just thrown together just for the fuck of it, I won't like it. And that's what we're seeing right here with CM Punk, Seth, and Roman.
Yeah.
You're getting some build up with it. I can get behind it. And same thing goes for the ladies when it comes to Io, Rhea, and Bianca, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which I can get behind that as well. But if it's like nonstop over and over and over again, just to put guys on the card, okay, I'm not going to like it, especially if the entire build is like, bleh. Like, I'm not going to really get behind it or anything. But
yeah,
I'm glad we had this as the main event of the show. It definitely did its job, and like I said, it definitely did save the show for me, because I'll admit I did come in here expecting a lot more when it came to other things happening in this show. And obviously once we dive into other segments that took place within this show, you'll get a better understanding of what me and Watkins are talking about. But it was just the fact that they're in the Garden. I expected a little bit more outside of the main event, because the main event I wasn't worried about. It's just other things leading up to it. I was expecting a little bit more.
Yeah, and I totally get that. Like, there were some things that we'll get into here that were fine, that were all right, and some things that I'm just like, me personally, I'm just like, come on, don't prove me right. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. Please prove me wrong on it.
Yeah.
Like, but we'll dive into that here in just a second. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this main event was really good. I'm glad I'm glad they gave it time too, because like it was around 9:55 when Seth and Punk were starting to come out. I'm like, oh, good, we're about to get a half-hour main event. Good, all right, fine. As these two should, because they can definitely fill a half an hour.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, you would expect to, like, with a triple threat of this magnitude, the winner would probably become the number one contender. You know, whether they say it or not.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like it'll be one of those matches that's like, all right, whoever wins is probably going to be going after whoever wins the WWE title that night. Because let's be honest, the world title is kind of degraded in value a little bit. But hey, we could talk about that right now if we're done with this triple threat possibility for WrestleMania.
Yes, let's dive into that.
Oh, we will dive into it. So, our World Heavyweight title picture. Gunther taking on Jey Uso at WrestleMania 41. You know, Jey wins the Royal Rumble, challenges Gunther. Great, cool, awesome. How's our build this week, ladies and gentlemen? Well, Jey Uso takes on Grayson Waller in a singles match. Okay, you know what? Fine. You know, him and Austin Theory have been kind of talking shit. All right, fine. Let's keep building some wins for Jey Uso. Keep his stock going up, and fine if we're gonna do a short little thing with them. Okay, cool. You're gonna have Alpha Academy around 2 as Jay's backup. You know what? Fine. That gives them something to do as well. But it's the stuff that happens after the match, because it's like, okay, Jay beats Grayson Waller as he should. Number one contender. You should keep looking strong. Grayson Waller still looked good too in defeat. Interesting thing to note too. Grayson Waller coming out to Austin Theory's music.
Yeah.
Even though Grayson Waller was the one with the match.
Yeah.
That was interesting to happen, but whatever. So after the match, Austin Theory starts beating down Jay. They both double team Jay. Jay gets them done and over with. And as soon as he hits that splash, he hit a splash and all that. As soon as he hits that splash, out comes Gunther to choke out Jay. And there's your world title build for this week. Same thing we got last week.
Yeah.
Same thing we got the week before.
Yep.
You know, and if you remember Drop's issues with Charlotte and Tiffany, you know, copy paste. That's my issue right now with Gunther and Jey. Like, and this was my issue, and this was my fear when Jey chose Gunther. Like, what more do you do to build for this title match? What more do you add? Okay, last week we had Jey cut a big promo being like, all right, yeah, you've awoken a beast in me. Yeet. Great, let's get this. And you know what? That promo was great. That promo was fire. What?
They should have capitalized on that even further.
Yeah, they should have. Like, if you're gonna have Gunther come out and try to choke Jey out, maybe have Jey maybe outsmart him a little bit. Maybe have Jey reverse the sleeper or do something else to get Gunther like distracted or maybe stumbling a little bit, and have Jey hit a sleeper on Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
Like, turn the tables around on him, or, you know, do something. Like, show that Jey wasn't just blowing hot air last week. Instead, you know, you have him beat down Grayson Waller, fine, neat. You have him take care of the tag team when they try to double team him, okay, fine, whatever. But then you just have him get choked out by your champion. And then producers have to come out, break it off, and then Gunther just walks into the back. And the only follow-up we get with it is Jey just being all distraught in the trainer's room and Alpha Academy being like, oh, there, buddy. We'll have your back next time, which, yeah, you guys will have his back next time until we get, you know, the eventual 6-man tag between you guys, like everybody involved. Because, I mean, next week we're getting Austin Theory versus Jey Uso. Like, I'm again, 2 weeks from now. But book it right now, everybody. 2 weeks from now, it's going to be Jey and Alpha Academy versus Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, and Gunther in a 6-man tag. Like, yeah. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see Jey and Gunther in a match before Mania like that. Mm-mm. And I want more. I want more. It's the same issue you had with Tiffany and Charlotte on Friday. Yep. It just feels the same. And it's making the person, the underdog, just look kind of worse.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with this too. Because, you know, looking at it now, like, I'm still not upset with Jey winning the Rumble and him choosing Gunther, especially with what we got out of Cody and Cena. Okay, I'm completely sold on that, like we talked about when it happened. But it's like, you can't keep doing the same angle every single week where Gunther's always beating up Jey, he's putting him in the sleeper hold. Like, you can't keep having, like, these brawls all the time. If you want to have them happen in between when you do promo segments or it gets really heated and you have, like, a really good promo segment between both of the guys and you want to start throwing fists after that to really capitalize on it, okay, that's fine. But it's, like, the same angle every single week. It just gets repetitive after a while. It's like Watkins said, it's the same issue I have with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. You would think, realistically, that would be a high-profile... Well, it is a high-profile match. It's the biggest match in Tiffany Stratton's career, just like how this is the biggest match in Jey Uso's career. And the reason why I'm comparing the two is because they feel very similar when it comes to their world title programs. They feel a lot different compared to, like, the Women's World Championship and the WWE Championship. Like, whatever's going on between Io, Bianca, and Rhea, and Cody and Cena, that feels like there's a story. You're getting bits and pieces with it within the week. We'll talk about Cody a little bit later. Just pretty much coming on Raw, just playing a little teaser for next week between him and Cena. Nothing that big, or like I said, we'll talk about it later. But you can tell those two other programs legit have something going for him. And then these other two just having the same thing happening, we could just get so repetitive. Because when Jey came out, like, last week, like you said, cutting that promo, you would expect, like, a different side of Jey coming out. So this week, if it happened again, Jey Uso can duck it, hit a super kick, maybe come up with a submission of his own, put him in a sleeper hold, whatever the case may be. You would think he would have to have a game plan when it comes to that sleeper hold, because that's definitely going to be something that comes into the picture whenever they have that championship match where he's going to be put into that sleeper hold and he's going to have to figure out how to get out of it. And I just, it's just weird because I expected a lot more coming out of this, but running the same angle, I mean, how are you really trying to move the needle with this feud? Because
really,
it just
all they're doing is just adding for the promo package. That's literally all it is. It's just gathering footage for the promo package, which again, and I've said this countless times before. It's like, okay, when the video package comes out, yeah, it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be great. But on the weekly, when you're watching this and consuming this and trying to, have a good conversation about it, just like it gets kind of tiring, and you don't want to just say the same shit every week, but you end up saying the same shit every week because they keep doing the same shit every week.
Yeah, so it's pretty much whatever we talked about last week, and you can just copy and paste the clip this week because it's pretty much the same criticism.
Except change the voice.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the same criticism that's coming out of this. Like, and I also don't really want to see those matches that you said, which I could see it happen, having the whole buddy thing with the Alpha Academy and Jey, and then you have Grayson Waller and Austin Theory and Gunther and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to see Jey Uso, Taizawa, and Otis against Gunther, Waller, and Theory, because I can actually see it, and I have a feeling we might actually get it, and I don't know. It's just really weird because it's like you could do so much with this. And it's like I said, you need to have these two in the ring, cutting promos back and forth, no bullshit, not repeating the same shit that you said before. Like, actually have a heart-to-heart, actually have Jey Uso say some real shit, actually have him get super serious, because he's a great promo. We've seen it before from him many times. If he wants to let out that beast, he can do it. Let him come out there, take the microphone, and say something. I don't want to see this stuff over and over again, because I know they can do it. As of this moment, they're choosing not to, because now you're taking that hype moment from Jey that you saw last week, and you're shitting on it with this. It's almost like he shouldn't have said that. The same thing's happening this week. And this is nothing against Jey. It's just a creative direction. Doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like,
he's
contradicting himself now. He's saying this, and then look what's happening. Same thing. The same result is happening to him.
Yeah, and like, I thought we got away from baby faces like that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we finally entered an age where baby faces were smart and actually like kind of looked out for what was going to happen or possibly happen. And I mean, I don't know. There's so many things they could do, and I think the thing that just it grinds my gears with it all is the fact that Gunther, of all people, deserves better. Yeah. The man took your IC title, elevated that tremendously, had not only just defenses, but had matches on the weekly. There were a couple matches that he had that were better than some of your world title matches. Yeah. Like, do we need to bring up him versus Drew versus Sheamus again?
Yeah.
Like, that one was one of the best matches that WrestleMania weekend. That's one that everybody talked about. And even his loss to Sami Zayn just almost a year ago was really good. One of the best matches of the weekend again. You have this machine that's not only really good in the ring, but really good on the mic. Like, what was it, a couple weeks ago when he went through the crowd and all that, where we got like the line of teaching a dog Shakespeare and all that? Like, where's that Gunther at? Where's that writing at? Like, where's all that? Where's that package? Instead, you're just, again, trying to just get footage for your video package so your editors have stuff to use and utilize to be like, oh, get hyped up for Jey Uso versus Gunther. And I swear, because you said something about a counter to the sleeper, and it just immediately makes me think of the typical counter that they always go with the sleeper, where it's like,
we're talking about what Cody did?
Yeah, exactly what Cody did. And it's like, if we do that, if that is how Jey wins the world title, I'd
rather him just use Gunther's submission against him, really.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be great. That would be awesome if Jey won with a sleeper. That would be. See, I would pop hard for that.
It's
I
like
would
fighting
pop
fight. You're
heavily
like
for
fighting
that.
fire with fire if you do that. I mean, it's like using your own kryptonite against someone else. That's pretty much the best way to do it. It's like your little cheat code. You play in video games, you know that secret maneuver that you normally do to take down the boss, or the certain strategy that you have to follow. Like when I was playing Super Mario World, I had to wait for those little fucking robots to pop down so I can shoot them at Bowser. It's like stuff like that. Think of a method that works and then use it against your opponent. And I honestly, I feel like that would probably be the best way, really, to, at least speaking of right now, because we don't know what they're gonna do when they structure the match, but that might actually be a good idea to really close out that match if they go through with it.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would pop hard for that. That would be great. That would be brilliant because you're taking what's going on right now that we're kind of bitching and moaning about, but you're taking that and like doing something with it, like capitalizing on that. And I mean, that's what we want as consumers. We want to be rewarded for the things that we enjoy, or have that aha moment when we realize, oh, the thing that we actually didn't like, well, it turns out there was a reason behind it, and that could still be the case too. But again, this is on the weekly right now, and this is just in the moment of how me and Drop are feeling right now, and it's just things are just kind of looking a little rough. And at this point, this isn't main eventing night one. This is not main eventing night one. This might start night one.
I'm pretty confident that triple threat's gonna night one.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, if I had my way, well, no, I guess they wouldn't main event. I was gonna say put the women's world title in the main event of night one, but yeah,
I wouldn't mind that either. I mean, the Raw.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, exactly. Not Charlotte and Tiffany.
Wish you
could
say that.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know, man. But that's enough of the world title. I don't want to talk too negatively with it. I just want better. We just want better.
Yeah, that's all it is. Like, people coming here and watching, it's not us shitting on it. It's mainly just constructive criticism. We want it to improve. We want it to be better. It's no different when we consume other media. If it's a book, video game, TV show, whatever, we're going to watch something, we're going to play something, we're going to read something, and there's going to be some things we like, and there's going to be some things that we're a little questioned, confused about when it comes to sort of things. But
yeah,
let's actually get into something else that also kind of confused me with what I was going to, and that happens to be AJ Styles calling out Logan Paul. I was expecting, I'm not saying I was expecting a whole bunch of stuff outside of this, but I was expecting a little something to, like, what's the bait? It's almost like we were baited into this, where it's like we were expecting to get a little something between these guys, but you never really got any answer out of it. It's kind of like a bait and switch sort of thing, where it's like, okay, you got Logan here, you got AJ here. Are they going to talk? Are they going to say something? Nope.
No. It's literally just Logan coming out, trying to be a heel, trying to be like, hey, Rock, if you want somebody to sell your soul, mine's for sale. It's just like,
yeah, no one wants to see
yeah, we... yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey, sold his own soul, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Hi down there, Mr. I have Logan's soul. But anyways, yeah, no, he's like, yeah, my soul's for sale, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, nobody wants your soul. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. And the fact, like, okay, I get, being a heel, you have to, play upon the crowd and all that. Yeah. Sometimes there's delusional heel stuff, all that stuff. But Logan Paul's kind of getting the reactions, and people have been saying this for a while now. He's getting the go away heat.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't booing him because he's a heel. People are booing him because they don't like him, and they don't want to see him on the screen or doing anything like that. So it's like, dude, just go away. And like, he's acting like it's all part of the shtick and all that stuff. It's like, no. you need to get fucked, dude. Like, just go away. And the fact that this turned into, because like, yeah, I can kind of see the whole bait and switch aspect with it, because it's like, yeah, it was advertised that AJ is going to be the one to call out Logan Paul, but it actually ends up becoming Logan Paul coming out, kind of yelling at AJ, but mainly just doing the typical heel shtick, like putting down the hometown and all that. We even had Andrew Schultz in the front row, and I didn't know this either. Apparently, there's some controversy with him or something. Andrew Schultz, but apparently it's.
I didn't know.
Yeah, like I saw some stuff. It was actually before we started the show tonight. Some people were mad that he was on there. I guess apparently he had said some stuff about Kendrick, but
I don't even know.
I don't know that. There's a lot of stuff going on between like the Kendrick Drake stuff anyways, so it's probably just more in that. I didn't really dive deep into it. But yeah, apparently a few people I saw checked out of Raw when that happened, when he showed up, but whatever. But he also kind of runs down Logan Paul, just like, yeah, nobody's here to see you, dude. Nobody wants to see you. We want to see the main event. We want to see AJ Styles, and that's it. Logan Paul attacks this Andrew Schultz guy, goes into the ring, and then AJ comes out for the save, hits a beautiful, phenomenal forearm, and Logan Paul just tucks his tail and runs away. Even after AJ like antagonizes him, being like, "Yeah, you wanted this. Come on, come out here." But Logan just walks away.
Yep.
And I mean, this is probably going to be their Mania match for the two.
Yeah.
There's something in my soul that's thinking Logan Paul is gonna win, and being an AJ Styles fan, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Mainly considering what AJ's record is at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This sorry. This segment's really getting after me. Oh my gosh, man, my body did not like this segment, I guess. I don't have any words for it, really, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's just, it existed to promote Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
maybe AJ Styles needs to make Logan Paul feel humbled. I mean, that's honestly
hopefully
the way I'm looking at it, really, because you had AJ lose last year to LA Knight. You had Logan Paul win that triple threat against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And I feel like it only makes sense to really have AJ Styles, especially since he said recently in the Chris Van Vliet interview that he's only wrestling until he's 50 years old. And again, this could be a match where he puts over a young talent. But I kind of want to see AJ come out on top of the win, give him a little momentum so he can have something to ride with, especially if John Cena wins that WWE title at Mania. You got a couple opponents lined up for Cena already. Punk, AJ, a lot of his old feuds you could really capitalize on, especially when it comes to AJ. You know, he needs a little momentum from something, and that would definitely give him something. But, you know, outside of that, because that's a conversation for another day, I mean, I was just expecting like more conversation between the both of them, because I really want to know how they're going to start the feud with these two. Because yes, this is more than likely the WrestleMania match. They wouldn't have advertised it this way. They wouldn't have put these two guys together if it was going to be like a one-off on like some random episode of Raw, especially since we're so close to WrestleMania. So it's like, I was expecting, you know, at least both of them to be in the ring and talk, and maybe they start taking things that happened at the Royal Rumble and apply it onto here. Logan Paul rubs it in his face, "Oh, I eliminated you," yada yada this, yada yada that. AJ Styles talking about a lot of punks that he came across in his career, and he's just going to, you know, shut them up, do this, do that. At least, you know, give us a little something, not like what I said, but just basically, you know, give us something to get invested in this. Because when it comes to a match itself, I'm expecting it to be a great match, because regardless how you feel about Logan Paul, and I understand when a lot of people saw this online, because I saw the feedback, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, really you're giving Logan Paul to AJ for WrestleMania. Like AJ deserves so much better, and I definitely agree with that. But if you look at everything you could do with AJ Styles right now, what is there really for him to do? You got Randy and KO in a program. We don't even know if Sammy's coming back. Doesn't really make sense for them to interact anyway. You got Cena and Cody. You got Roman, Punk, and Seth together. You got Braun Breaker starting something with Finn, and you never know if Penta or a couple other people get intertwined in that. And yes, you could probably incorporate AJ Styles in that too. But at the same time, it's like now you're just throwing another guy on the card just to be in the match. And that's a pretty big name, AJ Styles. So, I mean, you also got to consider what you're doing at Logan Paul. You can't just throw him in like a random match too, because they always have like, at least ever since he came to the WWE, he always has like these certain matches at WrestleMania. If it's against Seth Rollins, if it's against KO and Randy Orton, or if it's against, or was him and The Miz teaming up together against Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Like, there's always a certain match that's like an undercard match for him to do something in, just to pull off like a lot of these, just to give you a great match. So it's like, I understand how people feel about the guy, trust me, but it's like, it's gonna be a great match because AJ Styles, we don't really need to say anything about him, but out of a lot of the celebrities that came into the WWE, I can say, you know, outside of like Bad Bunny, Logan Paul is definitely impressive when it comes to the kind of stuff that he can pull. Like, I don't know if you recall when he did, I forgot what that move's called, that he did like that springboard thing on LA Knight last year, SummerSlam. And he even said himself, I'm never doing that again. Like, he pulls a lot of these fucking moves that you wouldn't expect him to do. And it's a lot of like one-off stuff. So, you know, AJ Styles is somewhat similar when it comes to a lot of those moves that he tends to like to do, like moonsaults or 450 splashes or whatever the case may be. AJ Styles likes doing that kind of stuff too. Not saying that they're an exact replica of one another, but it's almost like you're in a similar ball game with the both of them when it comes to the creativity of these certain kind of moves that they like to execute in the ring. So it's like the match, I'm expecting it to be a great one. I just want something to sink my teeth into because I thought this, I get it. It was supposed to be funny and everything, but it personally didn't really do anything special to me. Especially when AJ was calling him out. Because when AJ was like saying shit to him, I was like, okay, this guy's going to get in the ring. He's going to say something stupid finally before we transition to something else. But no. So now I'm wondering, okay, what's the lead up going to be? Is AJ Styles going to come out again and call out Logan Paul? Now we're finally going to get what we should have gotten last week, this week? Like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, we could keep calling them out. Like, they can keep calling out each other. I could see something where it's like Logan cheap shots AJ a couple times. Because that's one shtick of Logan Paul's is just cheap shot after cheap shot. So, which is probably why he didn't go back in that ring after getting that phenomenal forearm.
Bro, we fucking know.
Yeah, I mean...
Bro, we fucking know.
Hell no.
He's probably going to do some stupid... I can already tell he's going to do some shit where AJ Styles goes for the phenomenal forearm and he tries doing that fucking knockout punch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I put that in existence, but...
I mean, hey, I put a 6-man tag into existence for another build. So don't worry, we're putting up some hell for this WrestleMania build. Yeah, and I think the other thing too with like AJ versus Logan, AJ is a good ring general and in a way kind of a good coach too. So he could actually probably be helping Logan Paul, even if Logan doesn't win. He's still going to be helping Logan kind of, you know, formulate the match and obviously put on the match and all that. And part of that could be just coaching him through some of these interesting spots. I mean, again, look at AJ's earlier career. He was doing some crazy shit.
Yeah. TNA days
like,
too.
Oh yeah, that X Division stuff.
Well, with Joe, Christopher Daniels.
Oh my god, give it to me. Yeah, I need more of those. I need more of all that. But again, I kind of like the world title scene. Not much to really talk about here, unfortunately. Just at least this week. Maybe next week, you know, if we get like a promo battle between the two, or if it's something where Logan Paul costs AJ something, all right, cool, fine. We're moving forward then. We got something to really talk about then.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what we can talk about. We can talk about this awesome tornado tag match we got between the New Day and Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. This was a lot of fun. Very, very fast-paced action all throughout the night. I love there was this one spot. It was where Kofi was in the Tree of Woe, Dragon Lee was on the corner, and then Xavier tries to, attack Dragon Lee to kind of get him down, and then Rey Mysterio gets up on the corner. He does like a springboard into a Hurricane Rana onto Xavier Woods, and in turn that kind of helped set up Dragon Lee for that double stomp in the corner. Which, yes, thank you for setting up that spot and making it make sense in this aspect, because I always find it kind of goofy whenever like the superstar is like in that Tree of Woe and then the other one's like on the corner, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna start holding myself up a little bit more so you can hit the stomp. And it's just like when you look at it in terms of kayfabe or in universe, why would you hold yourself up like that in order to then take a double stomp, considering your opponent does that kind of move all the time? Like, why wouldn't you just stay flat a little bit? But again, that's more of just kayfabe in universe kind of thing. But the match itself was really good. We had a few weapon spots. Xavier going through a table because of a Hurricane Rana off the ring again. But unfortunately, the WWE 2K25 did drop for those of us that paid a little extra money for it. So a lot of people are creating their wrestlers, and I think Drop, you had, I guess one of your created wrestlers got out during this match, because we had this masked guy come out, which me and Vash first thought it was Rey Fenix. Like, we thought Rey Fenix had debuted at Madison Square Garden tonight. We were like, wait, what? What's going on here? But, this masked unknown luchador who, I don't know. Can you tell me what, did this mask say American made or something? Like, I thought these masks were made in China.
Yeah, they could have been made in Jamaica for all we know.
Oh my god, they could have. Like,
but it's like
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I got bored. I let one of my guys try to interfere in a match or whatever. It ended up backfiring. Ended up confusing the entire community, and I mean, at least you got the topic of conversation flowing online, which was which is what I was aiming for. But yeah, like you said, this was a fast-paced match. I thought it was really good throughout. And I've always liked tornado tag matches. Like, whenever I do play 2K, I always do tornado tag matches because, yes, I can do the traditional thing where you're tagging the other guy to come in. But I also like causing a lot of chaos, so I like my guy being in the match with me. If it's like a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3 or whatever the case may be, I like my guy with me so we can pull a lot of shenanigans throughout the match. And especially when it comes to the feud that these guys have, I definitely like how this was labeled a tornado tag match because it was really nice. And I definitely do feel like this is leading into a Rey Fenix debut, because they wouldn't be teasing things the way they did, especially backstage when Chad Gable had that interview and you saw the guy masked in the back. And granted, I can't really say that's Rey Fenix right there, but it's definitely like a certain tease. And I know you did mention like a 6-man tag match at Mania, and I feel like you might have a similar idea that JD also mentioned on his podcast, which shout out to him. If it is the same kind of idea that you're gonna spit on here, if you want to share it with us, or if you want to like talk about anything else besides the match before you get into that.
I mean, yeah, just the match was, it was just really fun. I mean, Rey Mysterio being as old as he is, can still really move. Like he was moving really good tonight. Like I know I've said a couple times, sometimes he seemed a little slow, but that's also in comparison to like prime Rey Mysterio. So that's like Roadrunner going from 100 miles an hour to 97 miles an hour. Like there, you could tell a little bit, but it's not that much of a speed difference. Yeah. I don't know where we could be really going with it, at least in terms of matches going forward. I mean, if we're bringing Rey Fenix in, if we end up getting like a big luchador tag team match between him, Penta, Rey, and Dragon Lee, I mean, somebody's gonna have to be heel for that. You know, I mean, yeah, you could run babyface versus babyface, but it might be a little challenging. I'm trying to remember what the thing was with the 6-man tag, though. I'm trying to remember what I was saying with that, because I remember saying something about it, but
yeah,
it's not jogging my memory right now.
I do know that the idea that JD did bring up, since we know about the news of Rey Fenix that we found out about last week, he was saying something along the lines of us getting a match, because they did say that he's I think he's with medical right now. He's getting looked at and everything before he hops over, and a lot of people are saying he's going to be on TV soon, and he could possibly be on Mania as well. So it could be one of those things where it's Rey, Penta, and Phoenix against the New Day and Chad Gable. Like you could incorporate all those storylines all together there, since you have the whole Lucha problem with Chad Gable. You know, New Day's currently feuding with LWO, Dragon Lee, and the other guys could possibly be taken out. Not that I want to see that, but it's like, now you got Rey Mysterio outnumbered with 3 guys against him, so, and you also can't really leave New Day off the card because of this. Hopefully, whatever they're going on takes off in the future, but you got to do something with this storyline. You can't really leave Phoenix off of the Mania card, so having those 3 against the others, I could see. I don't think it's going to be Penta and Phoenix joining the LWO. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it could just be.
I hope not.
Yeah, I feel like it. Yeah, because if they were to do it, they would have done it already a long time ago. But it feels like they really are trying to keep them separate and doing their own thing. So it could just be one of those things where it's like the Lucha Bros with Rey Fenix, with Rey Mysterio against the New Day and Chad Gable. That's something I can easily see them incorporating into a potential 6-man tag match at Mania, and I feel like that would potentially be a show stealer, especially if you got the Lucha Brothers.
Oh my god, yes.
So, and that could possibly
plus Chad.
Be
oh yeah,
that could be the little tease in the back.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think with the New Day thing too, I feel like because I mean they've barely been doing much. I mean they've been doing some stuff on TV. That's been fine. That's been good. But it could be better. You know, it's just the whole Wonder Woman 84 thing with Pedro Pascal. It's good, but it can be better. I feel like they're kind of treading water right now because they're waiting to hear back about Big E's situation. Because I think he's supposed to be having another checkup around WrestleMania time, last I heard. Yep. So whether that's when we get closer to Mania we hear something, or possibly Raw after Mania or something, like I feel like they're plotting away until they know Big E's status. And I think once they officially know that this year, we'll see what they're going to be doing with the New Day going forward. But yeah, like I wouldn't mind a 6-man tag with that. Because I mean, if Chad Gable's anything like that masked fighter we had tonight, that masked fighter looked pretty good with his mask on, with that American-made mask. Yeah, just learning. Hopefully, Chad learned the dark arts of Lucha Libre. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Because he's going to need it in order to defeat Rey Mysterio, Penta, and a possible Rey Fenix at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I know Vash brought up something in the chat where he said he saw something online of Dragon Lee potentially being a heel. And you could very well see that if you got like Rey choosing people over him. And that's almost kind of like you're fucking over somebody, where it's like you're using like outside help when it comes to the Lucha Bros instead of having people in the family that's with you. Because you could even, let's say if it's potentially a thing, let's say Dragon Lee's not a part of it, you could easily play it off where it's like, oh yeah, you know, Dragon Lee's getting tired of being misused, getting replaced by a lot of people, and he kind of wants to go out on his own footing, which also could be a good way to really build him as a prominent figure on his own, because that's another thing a lot of people have been wanting to see too. And he could take the other two guys with him, and then Rey Mysterio could just be his own guy. Zelina Vega's doing her own thing. I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt or anything. If anything, that might actually help Dragon Lee in the wrong one if he does take a heel turn. Not saying that we need to do it, but that's definitely an idea that they could explore. If you want to also intertwine the reasoning why Dragon Lee is turning on Rey potentially in the future, because they all turn on each other eventually. But yeah, that's honestly all I have to really say about this.
No, and I mean, with the whole Dragon, like, if it is the fact that, like, oh, Rey Mysterio chose outsiders instead of the LWO to take care of all this, that's kind of the same as last year, too. Yeah. When it's like, oh, I got to face it off against Santos Escobar, and now Dominic Mysterio's back. Who do I face? Yeah. Not you, Carlito. I'm going to go with Andrade.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you get that, and I guess you could justify Rey. I mean, Rey's not going to be turning heel anytime soon.
No.
But you can kind of justify the whole deadbeat dad allegations just with that. Like, oh, I have a new toy now. I don't want to play with you anymore. And just tosses the toy that is Dragon Lee to the side. Yeah. But I am excited to see where this whole masked American-made character goes. I think it'd be a lot of fun, especially with the fallout we had tonight, where Kathy Kelly is interviewing Chad Gable, and she's like, she's doing that thing that Kevin Owens was doing when we had like Elijah and Elias and all that, where it's just like, wait, but you're wearing the same clothes. The mask said American made, and then all of a sudden you see this guy in a mask, the American-made mask, wearing the same clothes as Chad Gable, being taken away by security. It's like, oh, wait, what's going on here? There are two of you? There was only one of you that was, causing all this mischief and chaos? Like, all right, fine, cool. But, yeah, so here's a question. Why was Cody Rhodes here? Because Cody Rhodes, you're a SmackDown star. What are you doing here? Well, Cody's basically here to kind of talk to John, or, talk through to John through, like, the cameras and all that, and basically calling him out again and kind of setting up their eventual face-to-face that we're getting next week's on Raw. I don't know, man. Like, first of all, the segment was great, but before we get into the segment itself, I'm wondering why this couldn't just be on SmackDown, with Cody being the SmackDown guy and being the guy that's like, hey, I'm the world champion on this other show, this other brand and all that. Yeah. Whereas the top champion of your Raw brand, Gunther, your world heavyweight champion, is relegated to barely even 5 minutes of screen time this week. Like, that's my biggest thing about this segment. It's just like, why is this here instead of Friday night?
Yeah.
Like be on your own show. Because I think mainly part of it too is it took away from other things we could have had on this. Like, think of this. If we didn't have Cody Rhodes tonight to say his basic stuff that he did, we could have had something with maybe, I don't know, Lyra could have done something. Braun Breaker could have done something. Your tag team champions in the War Raiders could have done something. Anyways, I'll just stick with those three. Those are three other champions on your show that you didn't do anything with, at least on the US Netflix feed. If you did something on the international feed during commercial, great, fantastic, but it's not on the American feed. So it's like, what are these people doing? I mean, we know what Braun's doing next week. We find out what Lyra's going to be doing soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I feel like this could have just stayed on SmackDown to be just a little thing on there. I don't know if they're going to do anything else on SmackDown this week, but I don't know, man. But what do you feel about that part, that aspect of it, of having just the other world champion coming up to Raw and basically taking up this time that could have probably been used for other people on the card or other champions on your card?
I feel like it's just WWE 101 inserting Cody in a little segment just to build to him and John next week. I feel like that's the only reason why he was really there, because what he said makes sense, added to the feud, of course, and probably be some rebuttal whenever John comes back when he says certain things or whatever. And I know on Friday Cody's supposed to be having a segment with Miz on Miz TV, and he's probably going to be talking about a couple things too. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Miz probably mentions some history with him and John Cena, which makes sense because they definitely do have a lot of history outside of like the WWE title stuff. Like they've had a lot of history of each other over the years, which is another thing I do appreciate that they do, is they bring up other people involved with Cena, like we saw that I talked about on SmackDown with Randy and all of them. So I that's one of the times I do not care for Miz TV segment, because he was one of the guys that Cena did feud with quite a bit. But yeah, I feel like that's really what it was. It was kind of like one of those little, hey, I'm here to hype up this, and that's that. That's how I really took it. I didn't really look like super into it, like it was trying to catapult something to the next level. I feel like it was just self advertisement, really. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah. I will point out one line that I actually really appreciated. It was this one moment where Cody had acknowledged that John part-time does a lot more than anybody on the main roster full-time, and it kind of took me back. I don't remember the year exactly, but it was during one of the John Cena Roman Reigns feuds where John clapped at Roman, saying, I do this better part-time than you do it full-time. Like, kind of a full circle moment in a way, where Cody's the one saying that as the full-time guy, as the one that's like leading the charge in the company and all that.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that line. And there was another one that was really good too. But basically Cody's just like, I'm going to beat up and defeat my childhood hero, John Cena. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing I really like about Cody when it comes to this whole entire feud that's starting with Cena, I like how Cody has a lot of the ammo in his pocket whenever Cena decides to throw a shot at him. Like, because he knows Cena's gonna say something about you taking my spot. He even mentioned on Friday, I know you're gonna say fine speech, because Cena tends to say fine speech if he's really trying to hook someone in a promo. So I kind of like how he has like a lot of these different kind of trump cards in his back pocket, where he's like, I know you're gonna say this, so I'm gonna say that. It almost reminds me, you ever seen 8 Mile, where Eminem was in that? I don't know if you ever saw an 8 Mile, but it was when Eminem was in a rap battle with Papa Doc towards the end, and pretty much everything that Papa Doc was gonna use towards him, he already said it outright himself. So then when it came to Papa Doc finally saying something, he was choked. He didn't say anything because they didn't really have any dirt on him to say anything to begin with. So I kind of like how Cody's prepared, because, I mean, Cena's known to cook people on the mic. He's known to say a lot of things. And it's just nice that Cody he's using his brain, because he knows how John operates and everything. And it's also nice that they even included that little history line that they had of each other. I forgot to mention that on Friday about driving around, going here and there. So I do appreciate the little things there. But it's like I said, next week is really going to kick things into gear when it comes to both of them in the ring, because that's going to be like the must-see segment outside. I hate to say this, but it's going to be like probably the thing that a lot of people are really going to tune into, and we're probably still going to get a lot of great things on March 17th. But a lot of people are dying to hear what Cena's going to say when it comes to his explanation, why he sold out, why he's doing this, why he's doing that, what he's going to say towards Cody. Like, that's got to be must-see television. I'm very curious to see what he's going to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that ends the night.
It would have to, yeah. Like, I don't really
Yeah, because
think
I mean
there's anything
that's
else.
pretty big.
Yeah.
Like people want to people want to know why Cena, why, and all that. And I mean, next week's card even looks pretty dang good as well. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, one of the matches we're getting Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor for the IC title. Yeah, give it to me. Inject it into my veins. That's gonna be a fun match. But yeah, I mean, again, we're just kind of advertising for next week, which is all right, I guess. It's just there's just that added little thing of like, hey, you have a world champion on the show.
Yeah.
Utilize him more.
Yeah.
You know, dig deep into that. But
That's
and
another part of the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, probably what you said too. Cody might be going to Raw after Mania and all that, but I think it also kind of depends on who's gonna be holding that title. And I mean, I guess it just depends on what they want to do with it afterwards.
Yeah.
So
because the reason why I say that is because Jay's so big on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So I can easily see him carrying that SmackDown brand with no issues. If it was someone else that wasn't on that level, I'd be like, okay, maybe keep Cody there. But Jay's clearly over on his own, so I feel like he'd be fine if he's the SmackDown World Champion over there. Because me and you probably already know he's gonna win it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I could easily see him holding it there. And I just feel like the only other reason I'm really saying it seems like Netflix really wants like another one of those guys on there. And to me, Cody's always felt like a Raw guy. Like regardless what he's on in SmackDown, which he's had a lot of good moments there, he's always felt like a Raw guy. And there's also kind of a part of me thinking, I mean, the Raw's their brand. It's the A show for them. It's on Netflix. It almost kind of tells me like, do you want to have your main focus title on that show? And it could either work if it's Cody on there or if it's John on there. Because John, like I said, he's had a lot of Raw dates. So,
well, the thing too with it is like you touted around about this whole transfer window thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like you could have put Cody on Raw and Gunther on SmackDown during that time.
Yeah,
that would have been something. That would have been great.
So part of me doesn't even want this fucking draft so soon, but I can't. I don't want to say in that shit.
I don't want it. Period. If they're gonna keep going back and forth between the shows like that, but especially your world champions, but
especially when you draft the same people to the same show.
God, that fucking oh my God. But before we beat that dead horse anymore and got to a Simpsons gag for that, hey, we finally had something with our mid-card titles, kind of, even though, didn't see the champ on the main show, unless it was like an interview during commercial break.
Yeah.
We got to find out who's going to be facing Lyra Valkyria for her IC championship. We had Bayley versus Raquel. Now, I'm surprised Bayley has to go through a match to face Lyra because she did beat Lyra clean on Raw a couple weeks ago. But I get why they had the match, because I'm sure Raquel went to Pierce was just like, oh, I should get a match. And he's just like, earn it. Bayley probably showed up randomly just like, all right, yeah, earn it. Make it official. Boom. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. So the match was fine. It was all right. Raquel won because of shenanigans with the Judgment Day, as Liv tripped up Bayley a little bit. Dom ran a distraction. It was enough for Raquel to take on the win. How do you feel about getting Raquel versus Lyra right now?
And your winner is Lyra Valkyria. I mean, that's pretty much all it is that we're going to be seeing happening next week. It's another name to really build up Lyra's title reign as Women's Intercontinental Champion. And that's not me shitting on Raquel Rodriguez or anything, but that's pretty much what they're telling us. They're just
it's just where she's on the card.
Yeah, and also just to have her on the card, having a match, giving more matches with that title so it feels important and everything, which they have been doing that a little bit more, which is something I can appreciate. But I'm also wondering like what this is going to turn into as well, because you would assume like Lyra, and you would assume that Raquel and Liv's like locked with some women's tag match at Mania, and I'm still thinking it's going to be Alexa and Nikki Cross that's going to end up happening
here.
because they've been having beef ever since the Royal Rumble. So it's, and Liv had Alexa's number twice now. It's just making me think like, what's going to happen with this women's IC title picture? We didn't see any Raquel. We didn't see any Roxanne tonight. So there wasn't anything fit into there. But, I mean, yeah, well, like I said, this was basically a match to crown who the number one contenders match is for the next week. I think what really stood out to me, honestly, was probably the segment that we got with Judgment Day the most.
Yeah.
Because it was the whole thing when, you know, Dom kind of gave that little Cena look when he hugged Finn, when he's like, oh yeah, I got you an IC title match with Braun Breaker next week. Okay, cool. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It almost tells me either they're going to screw him over, there's going to be some shenanigans played out, or it's just one of the building blocks to potentially have a match between Dom and Finn at Mania, which I could potentially see when it comes to that. Or it could be one of those things that kind of pops in there where, okay, we're eventually going to find out who this member is going to be, because they keep bringing it up. We know eventually there's going to be a new guy inserted in the group, and Finn's more than likely going to be getting kicked out just because, I mean, it's clear as day they don't really care about him. But that's what really stood out to me, really, when it came to Judgment Day on Raw tonight, was just that segment.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing with that segment, and I said this during the sidecast, what kind of pull does Dom have? Because you look at kayfabe, you look at in-universe and all that. Not many people like Dom, including Adam Pearce. So it's like, okay, how is Dom able to go to Adam Pearce and be like, hey, book Finn in this IC title match? Okay, I'll do that. I'll book him into the IC title match next week. It's like, Dom, what do you have dirt on people? Like, I mean, besides, you know, what's on your upper lip and all that, you know, but do you have dirt on people? Do you know, like, some secrets that we don't in order to even be able to get this thing? And so you had mentioned shenanigans with Finn next week. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a clean win for Braun. And because that would just add... Because that would just add more to, like, the Judgment Day kind of outing Finn and being like, we don't need you anymore, and them recruiting a new person through that. And I mean, that's kind of a way to get to a babyface Finn right there. Like, he tries to go over Braun, but is taken out without any help from the Judgment Day. And I mean, he can go into the back and be like, you guys didn't help me out at all. Where were you guys at when I was in this big match for the IC title? Like, you could easily play upon that. But we'll have to see how things transpire when it goes there. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think that's the biggest part of this match and segments and all that. Just, it was mainly to do with the Judgment Day and their possible breakup.
Yeah, more than likely it's going to head down that direction that you said.
Yeah. Exactly. But speaking of kind of breaking people up and getting people apart, we got our last segment here that deals with the Women's Heavyweight Championship. We had Io Sky come out. She was going to give an interview with Michael Cole, an exclusive interview, and she's just happy to be in Madison Square Garden as the champion, which, you know what? Rightfully so, Io. You've more than earned your fair share of benefits and all that. But Michael Cole, trying to be a non-biased journalist, again, keyword trying, he has Bianca Belair come out, and they kind of have some words, more respectful words towards each other, which is also kind of funny when you think about Bianca and Io's past when it comes to, like, Judgment Day stuff. Out comes Rhea, though, who continues to prove Charlotte right in the fact that, I'm still a child and letting people...
You also noticed she kind of contradicted herself with that little backstage promo that she did last week.
Oh, yeah.
Where she was blaming herself for getting her in the predicament that she's in, and now she's coming out saying, why did you do this, Bianca?
Yep, she's starting to kind of. I don't know if she's gonna go full blown heel at least yet, but
like
the signs are there for like that delusional thing.
Yeah, it's like you said, the delusional thing, and also proving Charlotte right, being a kid.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, I again, this is something I said on the sidecast too. Rhea, you could have easily just ignored Bianca. You could have easily done that, you know. And because I would have accepted like maybe Rhea, like maybe looking at Bianca and being like, all right, you know what, you want to cheer Io, fine. I'm gonna show why you're probably afraid. You know, instead of like going out of the ring and doing the shoving match thing, she could have just gotten just the more cocky thing, do it, or at least attempt that super riptide and all that, and have it still backfire. I don't know. There's just nitpick ways to kind of get around that part of the match and that part of the segment, but yeah. So Rhea comes out talking shit and all that, and I love the placement, or at least the staging of all of this. Yeah. Because Rhea and Bianca are getting in each other's faces. And Io, who, I mean, she's being the ultimate babyface between these two. Good. And she's trying to separate them a little bit. Both women, like, shove her away. And it's after Bianca's shove that Io's just had enough, separates the two, smacks the shit out of them, gets pissed off and just leaves because they're ruining her celebration. Like, I thought this segment was really good. They kind of played upon some recent history too with Bianca that Rhea tried to bring up. But yeah, this was a really good start for their build up for a triple threat at WrestleMania. But go ahead and talk to me, Drop. What did you think of this section of the night?
This was probably one of the other things that I really enjoyed in the show, like outside of like what I talked about before with like the little contradicting what you said last week in your little promo, and then looking how you're on the show this week, which could very well just be by design when it comes to her being a kid, like Charlotte said, and just being delusional about everything around her. That could just be a way to really build up her character to become somebody different at the end of the day. But I really like how Bianca's story is intertwining with this, because that's why I said earlier, you know, you got whatever's going on with Bianca intertwining what's going on at Rhea and what's going on with Io as well, and they all have obstacles that they need to climb. You got Rhea, that one of those obstacles being herself, that whole other thing of her not being able to beat Io. You got Bianca dealing with the whole situation with Jade and Naomi. And then you got Io Sky pretty much being like the middle lady out of all of this, and just proving why she deserves to be in the spot, why she shouldn't be overlooked by Rhea and Bianca, which is why I really appreciated that she stood up for herself. She slapped the both of them and they got out of the ring, because that's why it's sort of telling me in my head that there's a good chance that Io could potentially retain. And the only reason why I say that is because I just see a lot of inner workings when it comes to evolving Rhea's character the same way with Bianca, and it's almost telling me maybe that's their downfall at Mania. They're going to get so hooked on each other, which probably plays a big part into them potentially having that one-on-one match with each other, possibly at WrestleMania next year or whenever they decide to do the match, which I appreciate that they're taking the time to actually build that one-on-one match between the both of them, because that's sort of what we're seeing here, like the early stages of it. But it's like, that's almost telling me in a way, it's like, okay, Rhea's got all these problems, Bianca has all these problems, and for all we know, that could even evolve into even more problems if we find out that she manipulated Naomi and she orchestrated the entire thing just to get into this position that she's in. She even made a TikTok earlier calling people out, saying, why did this, like, why are you saying I was a part of this, and all that kind of stuff. But it's almost telling me in a way, it's like, are they gonna screw both of each other over? You get what you get what I'm trying to mean? Because it's one of those situations where it's like they're so hooked on whatever is going on mentally inside of them, they're not focusing on what's going on in front of them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of the same situation that the whole Punk Rollins Reigns thing is, because you just replace Rollins and Reigns with Rhea and Bianca, and there it is right there. But like, there is a difference with all this because at least with Io going over those two, not only does she retain her title, but now we're having Bianca lose this supposed WrestleMania streak that she's starting to build.
Yep.
Like, which is what now at 4-0, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, which I mean, there's something huge right there. That's something that she lost because she dropped her eye on the ball and all that. So that's probably like the main difference between the two, even though like the setup is very similar.
Yeah.
I could see it being that, and I mean possibly maybe her taking the pinfall, or I mean I could say Rhea, but I mean we just saw her get pinned.
I even saw someone bring up the idea where Naomi could potentially be a catalyst in it too, where it's like having her get away scot-free while she's dealing with the whole Jade thing. Like, it would almost make no sense if she doesn't, but like, okay, you know, you're gonna fucking walk away like nothing happened, because it's like we saw the whole story play out between the both of them on Friday, where she's like, I did all this for you because I cared about you, I was trying to look after her, which you can't really blame her, which is why I said on Friday, I can't really blame him for the actions that she's making, because she truly cared about her. It's not like she was doing it because she just wanted to destroy Jade. Like, she actually had something for Jade in the beginning, but she started seeing the bigger picture, and that's why she ended up doing what she was doing, which what she was doing kind of made sense. And I feel like that's another play into what we'll potentially see between Jade and Bianca down the line. But it almost tells me, you know, you got whatever's going on between Jade and Naomi. There's no unfinished business between Bianca and Naomi either, because Naomi could easily do something where she could take place in that match. She could potentially distract Bianca or fuck her over in some way just to get some sort of revenge back at her from walking away from her and not really, just pretty much cutting her off. Like, we're so tight, we're sisters, cutting her off. Like, they never knew each other. Like, they just released her in the wild, you know, something like that. So there's like a lot of scenarios that could play out with this. But again, this is another match that I'm happy that they're taking the time to build, and I'm actually happy that there's like a women's storyline within the WWE that's very compelling, and it gets you wanting to tune into every single week.
Yeah.
And I also, like I said earlier, you got things intertwining when it comes to multiple characters being involved when it comes to the three of them, which makes it even better.
And I mean, in another world, this could actually, like, if they keep the forward momentum going with the build, this does have potential to main event night one.
Yeah,
it could rival that, you know. But I mean, I guess it depends on how they want to keep building towards the match and all that. I mean, we still got to have the match announce itself, because right now they're still trying to promote that it's Bianca versus Io, which
we don't even know how she's gonna get in that match.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is she just gonna attack Bianca or something, or is it gonna be where, like, dare I say, they end up blowing the load early and give us Rhea versus Bianca on live TV, but then Rhea gets screwed over by Io because, you know, Rhea had screwed over Io a couple times for Elimination Chamber and all that. But that would be kind of silly too. But yeah, they're in a good spot right now, and again, I like how Rhea referenced the whole Jade Cargill stuff, because you're playing upon the recent history of things. And I mean, Bianca too, calling out Rhea on like, hey, yeah, you're the one that took the eye off the ball. It wasn't just me. You know, I told you why I was out there. You're just trying to make excuses for your own failures, which, I mean, if we look at another story within WWE, that's kind of what the narrative with Kevin Owens was.
Yeah.
It was like you're acting the victim when you really aren't the victim, dude.
No.
So
that's why it feels like that's why it just feels like it just being Naomi, which we know Naomi was the attacker, but it just feels like with it just being Naomi, it just seems like there's a lot more meat on that bone than just, okay, Naomi and Jade all the way through, blow that storyline off, move on. Like, how is it going to affect Bianca besides just losing a friend? how is Jade gonna feel around her? Like you got to give us something because we know we're gonna get a Jade and Bianca match down the line. You got to give us something to really get there. And it's like you said, the whole thing that Rhea's bringing up, it's almost pretty much thrown in our faces that Bianca did something. She's just not admitting it.
Yeah.
Maybe we get
there's
something
some
like that
sort
revealed. Because as of now, there's like 3 faces heading into the match. Io's not turning heel. It doesn't even make sense. But
no. And I mean, you could have Rhea kind of be the pseudo heel in it all.
Yeah.
But man, it's just I know we just got John Cena heel, and that was a big thing, especially for the kids and all that. But I mean, a Bianca heel run again. People have been asking for that too, and you may be asking yourself, "Oh, well, how can she still do charity work if she's a heel?" Yeah, Drew McIntyre does it, and he's a heel.
Yeah,
it'll be fine. It's fine. I promise you. It's okay. It's a-okay.
Even see when they do those Fanatic events or meeting up with different kinds of fans, signing autographs and stuff. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine. And again, it's like another thing, like we mentioned before, they have a lot of stars within the women's division, so they don't have to worry about Bianca being that sole person that people want to see every week. Like you saw a lot of how much people were behind Io tonight, giving her a lot of reactions, saying that she deserves it. Even throughout the segment itself, a lot of people were chanting for Io and stuff like that. So it's like you got other people there. Tiffany Stratton's an upcoming one. So it's like, don't feel afraid to turn someone heel. Especially when you have other people you could lean on. It's not like it's just one girl.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like there's multiple women that'll be involved in this match and in the feud. Like just play off of each other.
Definitely.
But alright, well, I mean, hey, everybody, that was Raw. That was Monday Night Raw. I think again it was an alright show. Some of the segments were mediocre at best, maybe. Mediocre at worst, probably. Like some of them were pretty good. Again, like the Cody stuff, substance was good. It's just again, why do we have another world champion on this show? But whatever, that's fine. Tornado tag match, awesome. The women's IC title #1 contenders match. I mean, foregone conclusion who was going to win that, but that's all right. Some of the setup with these triple threat matches are really dang good, and hopefully AJ Styles just stomps the ever-loving crap out of Logan Paul on his way out. But yeah, again, I thought Raw was fine. I mean, again, maybe saved by that main event, but yeah, what do you think of Raw overall?
So my thought process on this Raw, like I said earlier, I was expecting a little bit more only because we were in the Garden. But the things that I mainly enjoyed throughout the show was probably whatever happened within the main event. And we definitely had some time to talk about that. I also liked what we saw with the women. That was like another standout to me. Outside of that, besides like a little tease for Cody and John next week, which is the only reason why he was really there. And also I guess that little thing going on with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee and all that. Very curious to see if that leads to a Rey Fenix thing, whatever. But mainly like outside of what we really took some time to talk about tonight when it came to the main event for the ladies and the main event for the men. When it comes to like the triple threat match at the very least with Roman, Seth, and Punk. I thought it was an alright show. I thought it was an okay show. Like next week's card definitely looks a lot better, especially with the kind of stuff that they're promoting. So I feel like we'll definitely have a lot more conversation when it comes to substance that will infuse with these certain segments that we go over within the show itself. But yeah.
And the best part about next week and the week after that? Special start times.
Oh yeah, 3
next
o'clock.
Week Raw. Yeah, next week Raw is going to be on at 3 o'clock on Netflix, and then I think the week after they said 4 o'clock. So yeah, we'll be able to do this show probably a little early for the next couple weeks if we're able to, watch it before like 8 o'clock or something. Oh man, that'd be a glorious time.
Oh yeah,
doing this show at 8. with time. Oh, that'd be great. So hopefully those shows are great because again, they're going to be overseas. They kind of got to do something for the overseas crowd, which it seems like they're doing. I mean, we got Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser in a no holds barred match. That should be fun. We have Dakota taking on Ivy Nile again. That should be fine. I think you had said that women's IC title match was next week, Raquel and Lyra.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we'll have that next week, which will be fun. Again, Cody and John will have their segment and all that. And I think I'm forgetting something else, but I can't really recall. Oh, we're getting Jey and Austin Theory next week, so that'll be is what it will be. But yeah, that's basically it for Raw, and I think that's basically it for us here at Weebs of the Ring. So chat, let us know again what your thoughts were on Monday Night Raw, whether you're here live with us or you're checking out the VOD. Hey, thank you for checking out the VOD. Hopefully you enjoyed everything we had to say. If you didn't, or you did, let us know in the comments. Maybe we can strike up a conversation and come to some some middle ground when it comes to certain things on this show. But hey, again, thank you again for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, we have some wonderful little handles right there in the yellow at Animal We Studio, which is our main hub for all of our news segments going, all that. If you want to check out Vash and what he's doing after selling out to The Rock and how he's handling the new money going into his bank account and all that, hey, follow him at his @Legendy Vash. You got dropped this box on all of his social medias as well, with like the Twitters and the YouTubes and all that. And you've got mine as well with Walk-ins MW. You can check out what I have to say and what I have to do and all that. And also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us before, during, or after these shows. So that way we can kind of keep track of the conversation, where things are going. And also, giving us feedback too, because we're nothing without you guys tuning in. And we are always looking to expand our horizons and make the show even better than it was the time before. But Weebs of the Ring was presented by NOE Studio. Thanks as always to our production team for everything that they have done for this show. And thank you once again. And as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast, except for the one that had their shirt ripped by Logan Paul today. Hopefully you were reimbursed for your money, and hopefully your stunt granny times are done and you got paid really well. But that's besides the point. We will see you guys later on this week for Grappling with the Week and SmackDown. Maybe something with Roadblock tomorrow. I don't know. There was some sort of idea that Vash let out. But hey, that's not here nor there. You guys can definitely see us later on this week for all the wrestling coverage. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe, and we will see you next time.
Peace out, guys. Have a good night.